Okay, so welcome to the second video of the Unit 5 playlist over at Covalent Nomenclature. So recall from Unit 4 that a covalent compound must have a nonmetal and a nonmetal in it. So if you see a name or a formula that has two nonmetals, then you know you need to follow the rules that are provided in this video. So the rules for naming covalent compounds are these three steps here. You need to pause this and copy this down. So the first rule says that you need to state the name of the first element, and then you're going to shorten the name of the second element and add "ide." Now the thing that makes covalent compounds unique are the prefixes. Prefixes are pieces that go on the front of the names. The prefixes are going to correspond to how many of each element there are. The only little note you need to make is that we do not add the mono prefix to the very first element. You're only able to add the mono prefix to the second element. So here are the prefixes all the way up to 10. You're not going to go any higher than that in this class. So you actually need to write these down, but you also need to memorize these. Some of these you are very familiar with from, say, geometry, from learning your shapes, or just general knowledge. Some of them may be a little different, so make sure you copy these down and memorize these before the Unit 5 test. So let's do a couple of examples. It gives us the formula, so all we have to do is write the name. So the very first element in this compound is hydrogen. So state the name of the first one, and then the second one is oxygen. We're going to shorten that and add "ide." So now what you need to do is add the prefixes. So there are two hydrogens, so I'm going to add the prefix for 2 to the front of hydrogen. So this is dihydrogen. And there's one oxygen, so I'm going to go ahead and add mono. Since there's already an O at the beginning of oxygen, I'm just going to add, use that as the second O in mono. So it's dihydrogen monoxide. This is actually the technical term for water. Okay, the next one, we've got carbon and oxygen. So we're going to put carbon, and then oxygen will become oxide. Now there's only one carbon, so most people want to add mono to the front of that name, but you cannot add mono to the front of the very first element. So we're just going to leave it carbon. And then oxygen, there are 2, so we're going to add the prefix for 2, which is di. So that's how carbon dioxide got its name. The very last one is P5O6. So that first element is phosphorus. So if you notice, we don't change the name of the first one, but the second one, again, oxygen, is going to become oxide. So now we just need to add the prefixes. The prefix for 5 is penta, so it's pentaphosphorus. And then the prefix for 6 is hexa. And we're going to take off the A just so that the name flows a little bit better, hexoxide. So pentaphosphorus hexoxide is the name of that very last one. So what if you're given the name and you have to write the formula for covalent? A very easy way to tell if you have a covalent compound is if you see prefixes in the name. It's a dead giveaway for covalent. So what you're going to do is you're just going to use those prefixes to determine what the little numbers are in the formula or the subscripts. So let's work out a couple examples of those. Okay, so our first one is a fluorine monoxide. There is no prefix on the front of fluorine, but we know that the first element is never able to get a prefix if there's only one of it. So we know that there's only one fluorine, and we don't write 1 in formulas. And then monoxide tells us that there's one oxygen, so it's just FO. Next one is trinitrogen hexacyloside. So we know that we have trinitrogen, so there's 3 nitrogens. Now silicide, we know that the "ide" was added on because those are the rules. So silic is the very beginning of silicone, and we know that we have 6 of them. So silicone is Si, and we're going to add a 6 after that. Next one is heptacarbon tetrabromide. So heptacarbon means we have 7 carbons, And then tetrabromide means we have 4 bromines. So it's going to be C7Br4. And again, as we've been doing for these Unit 5 videos, there is no summary necessary.